Hello, so this is my tutorial section from BSUFX. My name's Schuleman. I'll be doing a couple of tutorials just explaining some stuff in Maya. I'm going to start with a little bit of a basic breakdown of what the project's setup is in Maya and how to configure stuff and where everything goes and what files get created and folders and stuff like that. Yeah, so this is my first tutorial, so yeah, let's get started. First off, I'm working in my 2016. It is pretty similar, the project setups in previous versions. I mean, all the way up to, sure, I think even even my 2014, this is the same, and then before that it looks a little bit different, but I mean the way it works is similar. So what I've done here is I've gone File, Project Window, and what this does is it brings up this nice little dialog box for you to enter in some details. Okay, cool. So what you're going to do here in your project window is, like I said, configure everything up. So yeah, so first thing you're going to do is hit new and type in a project name, projects in Maya, cool, and then it's going to call your project folder this with the various subfolders. So let's browse to a location. I'm just going to throw this in the C drive for now. So yeah, you can see there's C drive location. This is where you will set all your folder names and concurrently set where everything that gets generated in your scene while you in your project, where everything will go. So let's accept this, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. So they created a folder called projects in Maya, and inside is here. So if we just open this project window here, then you can see what's going on. So here it's created scenes folder, assets folder, images, source images, all of these other things, and this workspace.ml. What this workspace.ml is pretty important. So it's a little text, well, mul script basically, that explains this to Maya without you having to do it. So when you go set project, what you're actually doing is pointing it to this workspace.ml, and that workspace.ml is saying, okay, cool, this is where everything needs to go. So you'll see here it'll say like what movies should go in the movies folder, shaders should go in render data shaders, offline edits will go in scene edits, stuff like that. Images will go into images. You can come in here and edit this this manually if you want, or you can just open this up and then relink. So for example, if I close, let's say images, let's find images. Yeah, images is at the top. It's saying okay to the images folder in the project. So let's close that, and let's just change this to anyway. Let's say F drive, for example, and I want to make a folder called images. Yeah, and I say select, and then I accept, and then when I open up this mul script here, what you should see is images here. So images is no longer just based on your project folder. Now it's going into your E drive / folder images, and then when you render files out, it'll go in here. What will usually happen is you can leave all of this stuff stock. If you're in a facility, you'll find your lead will come in here and say, okay, cool. He'll either set your project for you, or he'll write, okay, cool, this has to go to, I don't know, some random drive on a file server somewhere, so that everything links properly. Cool. So let me just go through these folders. So assets is for what I usually use this for is for models and various assets for my scene. So like I don't know, a car model that I've cleaned up and whatever, and I want to import it into my scene, and I don't want to clutter up my scenes folder here. Then I will throw it in assets, stuff like that. Autosave is an autosave function in here. I don't think I've ever used it actually. Cache is a little different. What happens is in the secondary project location here, you will find a cache section here. So here it'll tell Maya that the relative path is in the project folder under cache, under particles, and that's where the particles should automatically go, or will automatically link to. You can obviously change this here, or you can, when you create the particle caches, it'll usually allow you to browse to a spot or whatever, but it will by default throw it in here. Same things with encache, bifrost, all your ASCII files, binary files, stuff like that. So for example, if I go, now my project is set, and I go save, it's going to throw me into C drive, projects, scenes. And here I will automatically, well, I'll type in a scene name, say save, and that'll be happy days. So here's my scene, and there we go. One thing to, just as a little bit of a sidebar while we're on save scenes, one thing I like to do is go under save scene, not save scene as, is switch this limit incremental saves on. Well, increment saves and limit the saves to 5. I found 5 is a good number. Its default is 20, which, I mean, if you're starting out, maybe you want 20, but I've never used more than 5. What this will do is, then you just save and close, and when you go, I don't know, create a block, for example, and you control S, what will happen is this will be this current scene setup, and the incremental save will be here. So what it did is it basically duplicated this file, wrote it here under incremental save and the folder, your file name in a folder, and then 0001, and then it overwrote this original file with your scene's current state. So for example, if your scene crashes or gets corrupted or something, and you're like, oh my god, I didn't save a version up or whatever, you did. It's over here, and you'll see here if I don't know, create this, and then let's extrude this a little bit, for example, and then I'll go save. Here we go, there's another one, it's the same scene, there we go. If, for example, this area's out, I'll go incremental save under whatever my file was called, and say, okay, cool, I want to open this one. See, there's the little block that I made, happy days, and then it's linked to incremental save. Now, if I go save as, I can overwrite the original one, or if I push Control S, it will automatically link to scenes and overwrite this original file with the incremental save. So just be aware of that if you push Control S, because you cannot Control S new files in incremental save. It will automatically go here because it's a direct link. Cool. Yeah, that's just a little sidebar. Where was I? Oh yes. So yes, cache is where all your caches will come to. Clips is when you will do let's see, you'll do animation clips. So if you've got a character and you need to have a walk cycle, run cycle, jump cycle, I don't know, some random move or whatever, you'll do the animation, you'll save it out as a clip, and you'll save your clips in here so that anyone who picks up your project can just go, oh, okay, I need the run cycle, and here the clip will be. It'll be named whatever you name it .ma file. So yeah, there we go. So it'll be an ASCII. Data is where all your exports will come to based on this project window here. So secondary, transfer data locations. So what will happen is here you'll say, okay, when I export an FBX, it must come to data. When I export studio import or I don't know, OBJ or LMBX or whatever, it will throw it in data. You can change these if you want. It's really up to you. But you'll find when you export Alembics, for example, you'll go Alembic cache, export selected or all, and once you do that, it'll ask you where to put it anyway. Yes, hi. Okay, cool. So where were we? We were talking about data. Yes, so the data here will go to whatever files you export here will default to data. You can say just use defaults and it will use the defaults if you've come and edited this and you don't like it. The same with all these descriptions here, so all your fur files and stuff like that. Yeah, so images here is where your rendered images will go when you, for example, want to render something out. You'll see here this path is pointed to e/images like we said previously. This will usually, if I come and change this project back to just straight relative images and accept, there you'll see it will update path slash projects in my slash images. Yeah, so that's where images will be rendered, and that's across the board in whatever you're using. If you, for example, change project image directory here, it will update this one. So just don't think that, okay, cool, I've got render layers and I can just change project directory based on the render layers and each one will go to a different place. That won't happen. It will go to where you've set it last. What else? What else? What else? Movies. What this movies folder is for usually is when you play blast something, you will, especially if you use the defaults here, which is AVI, or you can even put out a QuickTime. It will create a little movie file for you, so it'll play through your animation based on whatever camera you're looking through at the moment, and it will save out that version, that into a movie file or QuickTime file or whatever for you, and it'll throw it in movies. I usually use these for things like approvals that the animation is looking good, or I don't know, just as like a pre-comp kind of thing where I'll make the background green and make a little movie and then do a rough comp in After Effects or something just to see how the animation is working with the other layers and the backgrounds and stuff like that. Cool, so render data. Um, Depth is for your depth map with your lights, so your shadows have two options, ray tracing depth map. Your depth maps will be saved here. Fur is where all your fur descriptions and your default, sorry, not your default, your original Maya fur, not XGen stuff will be saved based on your secondary project locations here. IPR Images is a legacy folder for when you do IPRs through my software. So for example, I'll do an IPR of this for no reason at all, and it should update, which it doesn't because IPR is junk. But what will happen is we'll save an IPR based on a scene file underscore IPR, a TIM file. My V-Ray does this too, except it puts it in images under TMP, and then you'll have your IPR thing here. Shaders is where I will save exported shaders. So for example, if I come here and I create, I don't know, blend, and then I have a checker, for example, and I plug the out color into this color, and whatever network you created, it's beautiful and you love it, you can go and you want to use it in separate scenes, for example, or different projects, or you just love the texture or the shader and you want to export it out. You go file, export selected network, and save it into shaders, and then you can call it whatever you like. And now, for example, I can delete everything and go file, import, and shaders here. Oh, unfortunately, I saved it as an OBJ. It should be an .ma file, and then you'll import it and it'll bring in your shader with the checker connected and any textures linked in. Your textures may or may not, based on your project settings, may or may not find the actual texture file, but yeah, you just have to go and sort that out. Let's see what else we have here. Scenes is your scene files. We already spoke about incremental saving. Scripts is where your project-based mul scripts or Python scripts will be saved. Alternately, if you have scripts that you love, that you use all the time, like this file texture manager I use, for example, you'll throw it in documents my whatever version and scripts, and then it will auto source when you boot my. It'll look in here and see, okay, there's this file texture manager. You'll probably use it. So if he comes in here and he goes file texture manager .ml, it doesn't work, or obviously. But if you have any plugins and stuff like that, it will look in there and all your files should link properly. What else? Let's just go back. Yes. Sound is usually for sound files. For things like voiceovers, when you're doing lip syncing or dialogue, or a background audio track you want to animate to, or something like that. Yeah, I usually don't render movies or anything. I'll usually render frames, like you can render to ABRs and stuff out of Maya. I don't know why you would want to. It's very dangerous, because if for some reason your render bombs out halfway, you lose all your previous renders. So that's why I render frames out, and then cut them in After Effects or something like that. Source images is where all your file textures should be. This is the biggest issue that I have, which is why I did this project tutorial, is that you pick up a project from someone else who's worked on it, and you jump on it, you got 2 days to do something, and you open the scene file and no textures are there, because he saved them all on his local drive somewhere, and when he gave you the project file, there was nothing. So yes, if you're going to use textures, all the textures that you're going to link to, you can clean it up after the fact, but make sure all your textures are sitting in source images, so that, again, if someone picks it up, it'll just all work out. 3D Paint textures is where your 3D Paint textures will be auto-saved to. Again, you can change that if you want. So what have we've covered everything, I think. Yes, here the add new rule is Alembic cache is coming here to Alembic cache, so you can remove that if you want. Okay. So the reason for setting a project, aside from all the other reasons I've told you, is mainly for your textures. So if I come here and I create blend, and then I want file texture, what's going to happen if I plug this in color and I go and find something, textures, concrete, for example, it is going to do this. So it's going to say your drive slash folder structure slash what the texture file is. Again, if you move your textures or if you move your project from a local machine somewhere else, or if you're working off a network or something like that, when you send it to a render farm, this shader will render black because the E drive on your render farm, on your local machine, is not on every other local machine, and all your textures will be lost. So yes, especially if you send to online render farms and stuff like that. So what you need to do is take this concrete texture, whichever one it was, let's just say it was this one, and then go to source images, paste it in, and then link it here. Now what it's done is it's made a relative path, meaning everything before here, it understands that it is in your project, wherever that may be, and it's looking straight in source images, straight in for the concrete texture. And when you upload this or you send it to a render farm or whatever, as long as your project is on a network drive, it will find the texture, everything will render nicely, and everything will be happy days. Cool. Thanks very much for watching my project tutorial. It might have been a bit buggy here and there, but I think we got through it. Look out for more tutorials, and yeah, hopefully I'll have some other cool stuff if this one works out.